Good morning, everybody. I am been asked to
here
see what's wrong with this dryer.
Never mind, let me go
Dryer
back.
is completely dead. There is no lights or noises or anything to the control panel. So, first thing you want to do is unplug the dryer, and you also want to have this done by an electrician. I don't recommend anyone doing this because with the 220 volts it could be dangerous. I'm just showing you how to do it here in case you need to direct your electrician or anything like that, because not everybody knows how to do this. The first thing you want to do is make sure you're getting the proper voltage here. The left and center should be 120 volts, which is what I got, and the right and center should also be 120 volts, and then the two outside hot ones should be 240 volts, which is right on the money. So it's not a breaker problem. We're getting power to the dryer itself. Now we need to find out why the power from where it enters the dryer does not make anything work. So I get my 1/4-inch bit here on my trusty DeWalt drill, and contrary to popular procedures, I like to use the drill instead of the impact, because when you put the screws back in with an impact, you can't always determine how strong or how far you've got them in. With the drill, you have more control. And before you get that panel off, you need to take the flexible dryer vent off. And this particular one is aluminum, which is what you're supposed to use. You're not supposed to use the plastic ones because they can get too hot and they can melt and cause problems. Yesterday, I'd already cleaned this dryer out, and I have other videos on how to clean the vent out on the dryer, and you can go look at my videos to do that. Well, the first thing I do after I make sure the voltage is coming in, I check the fuse. There's a fuse that is blown. Once it blows, it doesn't reset. And because this is so common, I brought one with me. And this is hopefully the bad one here, because why I say hopefully is if it's bad, it's an easy fix. You turn the meter to ohms in pretty much any range. I have 20,000 ohms on this one, and this is just a very, very inexpensive Harbor Freight meter. I got it free if I bought something at Harbor Freight, and it's actually, for this kind of work, it's really good, a good meter. For delicate work, I don't know if I would really trust it or not. Anyway, I check the fuse, and the only way to check it is with the meter. You really can't see anything because it's opaque plastic. And as I'm testing it here, it tests bad, which means there's no continuity going through the fuse. And you don't want to just replace this fuse without finding out the reason why it blew. And this one blew because the dryer was completely plugged with lint, the vent and the pipe going up out of the ceiling. And again, I cleaned it yesterday, so I know that if I put the fuse in, there's a good chance that it will never blow again. And what happens is the lint gets clogged in there, and it creates a lot of heat. And heat creates current overload, and when the current overloads, it blows the fuse. So since it shows that it's bad, I will go ahead and put the new one in. I brought one with me. I just got this off Amazon, and they're very, very inexpensive on Amazon. If you go to the Whirlpool actual dealer or the the actual whirlpool part. They're very, very expensive for this fuse. And since I have done this exact work on other dryers, I know that these fuses I get off Amazon, they seem to work just fine. And I'm going to put this panel back on, and this fuse is also a thermal fuse, so if it gets too hot it will blow, and it's set at I think 309 degrees if I remember right. So if the lint gets backed up, the heat increases, it will blow this fuse. And like I said earlier, if it gets too hot and too restricted, it can actually blow a fuse due to an overcurrent. And I'm going to put these screws back in. And the middle panel where the cord goes in, for some reason, they often use a different size of screw. And on this one, it's a 932s instead of the 1/4. So that when I come to work on a dryer, I always bring a selection of the different ones. Usually 1/4, 932, and sometimes 5/16. And once you put this back on, I like I say, I put this back on now because I'm very confident that this is what the problem was. If I wasn't confident, I wouldn't put the back on right now. But because, like I say, I've done this before, and this usually is what the problem is. And because I do a lot of maintenance on Airbnbs, apartments, and houses, and I build from scratch. I'm also going to show some other videos on how I have built homes. And my last one was a 3,000 square foot cabin up in the mountains. And I've had a couple of videos showing a couple things on that one. Now I'm going to put the flexible pipe back in. And of course you want to make sure there's no lint in that either. Sometimes when you clean it out, the vent out with the brush, you don't look at the flexible pipe, and you got to make sure you do that. And you put it on tight this way, and then of course where it hooks into the vent which goes up, you need to make sure that it is also on tight. And sometimes you have to bring the dryer a little bit closer to the wall. This is what's behind this dryer. Pretty nasty. And I'm gonna scoot the dryer back in, test it, and it works. That is awesome because I only charge by the hour on things like this, so it's very inexpensive. Be sure to subscribe to my channel.